Hello, welcome to the Daniel Vail Gazette Pod. Um, we'll do something different in this episode. I'm gonna start a new format where we talk about sports news and the seasons and the schedules of each current sport that's not about to have a final game, like NHL, NBA, and MLB, for instance. But I will talk about the Super Bowl game. First off, it's the Super Bowl is going to be in my home state of Louisiana, the New Orleans. I thought it was going to be the Superdome, but I think they said it's something else. Regardless of that, it's under the trending. It's under trending on Yahoo. So it's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles against the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, it is the Superdome, but it's called the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. National anthem is going to be sung by John Baptiste, featuring SZA. Now, if you're into streaming instead of traditional broadcasting, it's going to be NFL Plus, but the traditional show is going to be on Fox as it usually is. Kendrick Lamar is going to do the performance at the halftime. Nick Sirianni is the Eagles coach, and Andy Reid, of course, is the Chiefs coach. The people they have listed as the broadcast announcers are Kevin Burkhardt, does play by play. Tom Brady is the analyst. Um, Mike Pereira is the rules analyst. And Aaron Andrews and Tom Rinaldi are the sideline reporters. Personally, when my favorite, personally, my favorite team's the Pittsburgh Steelers. So when they were eliminated, didn't really pay attention too much to the other teams because there's no other team that I knew of that were in the playoffs that my brothers or sister-in-law would like, so I didn't really pay too much attention to it. But I'm happy that the the Chiefs went back to the Super Bowl, and I'm happy to see that Philadelphia got to go because even though they're in another conference and another division than Pittsburgh, at least they're from the same state. So I like to see that. Next thing I want to look at is the NBA 2024 2025 um, season. Their season ends on April 13th. Playing tournament starts 2 days later. April 15th through the 18th. And April 19th is when the regular playoffs start, and June 5th is when the finals begin. Or at least that's what the schedule is. They have on the transactions part of the 2024-25 NBA season section, the transaction section on Wikipedia that talk about retirements. Like on July 2nd last year, Kemba Walker announced his retirement from professional basketball, and he joined the Hornets as a player enhancement coach the next day. Interesting. And for people who may not follow the NBA, this is some NBA does what's similar to the WWE in the sense that they have a developmental league. Like WWE started doing developmental way back in between 98 and 99. So um, they call they call developmental league, which is down known as Gatorade League or G League for short. For short, they call that a player enhancement. And another person who retired was Gordon Hayward. Announced on August 1st that he was retiring last year. August 15th last year, Joe Harris announced he was retiring from basketball. He was playing for Brooklyn Nets. At least it was the picture they had right here. On September 26, 2024, Derrick Rose announced his retirement from the NBA. He played for 6 different teams in his 16-year career, and he was named the NBA MVP 2011 with the Chicago Bulls. And I was gonna say I don't like to say when people should retire, but because I hadn't heard anything about him for a while, so I was wondering if he was gonna retire or not. So usually in basketball, when you don't hear about somebody for a while, it's around the time they start thinking about hanging up the sneakers. And he actually won MVP about 3 times, as I recall, in his career. Also, AJ Griffin announced his retirement from professional basketball as he became a minister. Wow, good. It's a good thing to become. That was on September 29th last year. On October 2nd, 2024, Ishmael Larry Smith announced actually, he was hired as a pro scout for the Washington Wizards. So I guess that's how he retired. So this ended his playing career. He played for a record 13 NBA franchises in 14 years in the league. And he won an NBA championship back when Denver Nuggets won. Wow. And that was 2023. On October 10th last year, Danny Green Jr. retired from basketball. He played with 6 different teams in his 14-year career, and he is one of the 4 players to win the NBA championship with 3 different teams. And on October 29th last year, Rudy Carlton Gay Jr. announced his retirement from professional basketball. When I started watching basketball, I always liked seeing the draft. But when the draft happened, I could not see it because at the time had to go to bed earlier, so I didn't really know about it. But the first round of last year's draft took place on June 26, 2024, at Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York. Second round took place the next day at ESPN's Seaport District Studios in Manhattan. The Atlanta Hawks took French teen Zachary Reisacher as the #1 overall draft pick. However, free agency, that's always interesting. Negotiations began for free agency on June 30th last year at 6 p.m. Eastern, and players were officially signed after the July moratorium. That was on July 6th at 12 p.m. Eastern. The notable moves here, they had 3 notable moves. Paul George signed 4-year, $212 million maximum contract with the Philadelphia 76ers. The former NBA MVP Russell Westbrook signed a 2-year, $6.8 million contract with the Denver Nuggets. And the Dallas Mavericks move of the offseason was signing Klay Thompson to a 3-year, $50 million deal near the brink of free agency. Jason Tatum agreed to a 5-year maximum extension with the Celtics. Jalen Green agreed to a 3-year extension with the Rockets. Pascal Siakam returned on a 4-year deal with the Pacers. James Harden returned on a 2-year deal with the Clippers. LeBron James returned on a 2-year deal with the Lakers. Bam Adebayo signed a 3-year extension with the Miami Heat. Jalen Brunson agreed to a 4-year extension with the Knicks. Franz Wagner agreed to a 5-year extension with the Magic. Joel Embiid agrees to a 3-year extension with the 76ers. Scotty Barnes agreed to a 5-year extension with the Raptors. And Lauri Markkanen agreed to a 5-year extension with the Jazz. Now, in the trades that were notable, the Chicago Bulls traded DeMar DeRozan for Chris Duarte, and as a result of that, he joined the Sacramento Kings. And Harrison Barnes was sent to the Spurs as part of the 3-team trade. Coaching changes. During last season, Brooklyn Nets had Kevin Ollie as an interim coach. This season, they they signed Jordy or hired Jordy Fernandez as the regular coach. Charlotte Hornets had Steve Clifford as a coach in 2023 and 24. Now they have Charles Lee as a coach. Cavaliers had JB Bickerstaff as a coach 2023 and 24. Now they have Kenny Atkinson as a coach. Detroit Pistons had Monty Williams in the previous season as a coach. Now they have J.B. Bickerstaff. The Los Angeles Lakers had Darvin Ham as the coach for the last season. This season they have J.J. Redick. The Phoenix Suns had Frank Vogel as their coach last season. This season they have Mike Budenholzer as their coach. And Washington Wizards, and this was all during the offseason, by the way. Washington Wizards named their interim coach Brian Keefe as their regular coach for the 2024-25 season. And in the end season coach change saw Sacramento Kings um, fired Mike Brown and hired Doug Christie as an interim coach. Okay, that realized it may have been a little bit too long. So I'm going to try to condense it a little bit. Most most sports start in the summer or the fall. Like NFL starts in the fall, basketball starts in the fall, so and hockey starts in the fall. So baseball's the only sport that starts and ends in the same year. Okay, so opening day is um, planned to be on March 27th this year. However, they are scheduled to open the season in Tokyo, Japan on March 18th and 19th between Dodgers and the Cubs. However, Colorado Rockies and Tampa Bay Rays are not going to be scheduled for the opening day. Right, so Last thing I spoke about, oh yeah, I was talking about the Rockies and the Rays were the looks like they're the only team to not play each other on opening day in America. They've been rescheduled to the day after due to works at the Rays' temporary ground Steinbrenner Field. Hmm. Okay. Interesting. Their 95th All-Star game will be played on July 15th. Will be hosted by the Atlanta Braves at Truist Park in Cumberland, Georgia. The Reds and the Braves play a game at Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee on August 2nd. They're going to have a Little League Classic at Bowman Field in Williamsport, Pennsylvania on August 17th, with the Seattle Mariners taking on the New York Mets. Hmm. Okay, I want to talk about some news that I really believe is important. So this is important. The news about the television um, airing of the games. In the national TV, this will be the fourth year of the 7-year deal with ESPN, Fox TBS, Apple TV Plus, and the MLB Network. However, this is the second year of a multi-year deal with Televisa Univision, which is a Spanish language broadcast channel. The other um, news is Fox will continue to air their Fox Saturday Baseball and Baseball Night in America slate of exclusive weekend games. The network will also air the All-Star game for this year. And also FS1 will also broadcast non-exclusive but non-blacked out games. Okay. TBS will continue to broadcast Tuesday night baseball. Most games are blacked out in the home markets of the teams playing. However, TBS is allowed to coexist once with the team's local broadcast. ESPN will continue to broadcast Sunday night baseball. Yes, huh? Okay, so I spoke about Tuesday night baseball on TBS this season coming up. ESPN spoke about that. Okay, this year, for the first time in 4 years, ESPN will air a double header on opening day. And ESPN will also air a double header on July 6th as part of 4th of July weekend. And the network also has the rights to the Home Run Derby, which I always thought that was an interesting game. And select games may air on both ABC and ESPN2. MLB Network will continue to broadcast games daily. While most games will be simulcasts of the home team's regional sports network broadcasts, select games will be produced by the network under its MLB Network Showcase banner. All games are blacked out in the home markets of the teams playing. And two more, I think two more, yeah, Spanish speaking channels, Unamos and TUDN will air the weekly Whip Around show on MLB on Vivo on Tuesday nights throughout the season. And there's a weekly studio show called Esta Semana, and that means MLB this week in English. That show will be aired on these two networks on the Saturday nights along with postseason coverage. Coverage is also streamed on VIX. Not really sure what that is. And it is a streaming service, as I just hit it to check it out. And the owner, it happens to be Televisa Univision. Okay. Just like Max airs, or HBO Max, um, airs simulcasts with TBS and with TBS their AEW Dynamite series on Wednesday nights. Max will continue to simulcast TBS games on its Bleacher Report Sports add-on tier, and Apple TV will continues to hold the rights to Friday Night Baseball. And then they'll have an MLB Sunday leadoff that will be streamed on the Roku channel under a multi-year deal. And the league's MLB.TV will continue to stream out of market games and all of the Roku channel games. I don't want to talk too much about postseason because the season didn't start yet, but I thought everything else was important enough to mention, so I'll end it right there. Okay, so let me go to um, hockey. Okay, okay, guys, you go to Wikipedia where they have most of these um, the news that's really important. You have about almost 4 months left. No, 2 months left of hockey season. Playoffs should start about April 15th, I believe. ESPN, ABC, ESPN2 in the United States, TNT, TBS, and True TV are all newer for me anyway to know. The partners for NHL in the US, Sportsnet, CBC, and TVA Sports are the TV partners in Canada. And apart from ESPN, ABC, ESPN2, TNT, TBS, and True TV in the US. Their streaming partners in the United States are ESPN Plus and Hulu and HBO Max. Along with in Canada, their streaming partners are Sportsnet and Amazon. They deactivated the Arizona Coyotes team, and they added Utah as an expansion team. Hmm. And for that reason for that is they're relocating from Arizona to Salt Lake City, Utah. And because of the concerns about an indefinite time frame on a new arena and the effects of continued play at the 4,600 seat Mullet Arena in Arizona, they decided instead to just sell the team to Salt Lake City and relocate them to Salt Lake City, Utah. They announced this as being a expansion team. The entire league bought the franchise from the Coyotes owner Alex Mary Mariello and resold it to Ryan Smith, owner of the Utah Jazz. So that's how they got the Utah expansion. That was finalized on April 18th after the NHL Board of Governors voted to establish a team in Utah with the Coyotes hockey assets. However, instead of formally relocating, they just announced that the Coyotes franchise was inactive instead, with the Utah Hockey Club considered an expansion team in a similar situation to the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens of the NFL. And the owner of the Coyotes subsequently remained on the NHL Board of Governors as an observer, obtaining the rights to the Coyotes brand, the 5-year window to complete a new arena and reactivate the Coyotes as an expansion team. So I think it's smart business. So it looks like next season is when the Utah Hockey Club will play its inaugural season with the NHL. They really, it's going to be during it's going to be during next season that they have a full identity developed. So they won't have a mascot or a name or even colors, because all that's going to be in development for the next season. Okay, I always like to look at world changes, but since since we're talking about this season of the NHL, what the heck? On June 26th, they announced the following rule changes for 2024-25 season. Puck over glass delay penalty has been added to the list of plays that can go under video review. It only applies to determine whether the puck instead deflected off a player, a stick, the glass, or the boards. Which I did always wonder that myself, if that ever played a factor. So I'm glad they added this rule. The judgment call on how the puck left the defensive zone cannot be reviewed. A failed coach's challenge would thus essentially result in a double minor. Both the original puck over glass penalty and the failed coach's challenge penalty. That would be a double minor right there, they say. And I guess they say minor in the sense that it costs them something in the game. The defensive team cannot make a line change after its goaltender accidentally dislodges the net. Following an icing, offensive centers will receive a warning for a face-off violation, just like defensive players. A team that has players sitting on the boards with their skates exposed in the play will first receive a warning and then be assessed an unsportsmanlike conduct bench minor penalty for subsequent violations. So I was right. It is a violation. Those two, the double minor earlier is considered a violation of sorts. Wow. NHL had a salary cap last season, or actually this season, worth of $88 million per team. An increase of US money $4.5 million from the previous season. Salary cap floor was increased to $65 million in US money per team. Okay. Broadcasting rights. Always found broadcasting rights to be interesting. Canada has the national broadcasting rights. This made the 11th season of the 12-year Canadian national broadcast rights deal with Sportsnet. This included Sportsnet's sub-licensing agreements to air Saturday hockey night games in Canada on CBC TV and French language broadcasts on TVA. And they're streamed on Sportsnet Plus in Canada. I didn't know this, but Amazon Prime actually uh, signed a 2-year sub license, the NHL, to air Monday Night Hockey, which replaced Rogers Monday Night Hockey on Sportsnet. And Prime Video airs a weekly whip around studio show called NHL Coast to Coast on Thursday nights this season. And the United States, the national broadcast rights. This is a fourth season of the league's 7-year U.S. national broadcast rights deals with the ESPN family of networks and TNT Sports. So, ESPN broadcasts games on selected Tuesdays, Thursdays, and weekends throughout the season. ESPN2 has a doubleheader on had a doubleheader on Friday, December 27th. ABC's schedule included hockey Saturday on selected Saturdays between January 4th, which is right now, until April 12th later on in the year, and a Sunday game happened on January 5th. ESPN Plus and Hulu exclusively streams games on selected days throughout the season. And ESPN Plus also streams all of ABC's games, selected ESPN games, and NHL Power Play on ESPN out of market package. The 2025 NHL Stadium Series will be on ESPN this year instead of ABC. TNT has games on Wednesday nights throughout the season. Selected Sundays between February 23rd, which is in a few weeks, and April 13th. And also, this happened this past this past Thanksgiving. It's a showdown and a Winter Classic on December 31st. And some of their games on TNT are also simulcast on True TV. But all games, period, are streamed on HBO Max. And not all of their TNT regular season games are exclusive broadcasts and are thus subject to blackout in local markets. As per the rotation, TNT holds the rights to the Stanley Cup Finals this season. ESPN and ABC normally would televise the All-Star Skills Competition, which I always thought was interesting, and the All-Star Game itself. As, however, the rights to the 8-day Four Nations Face-Off Tournament has been split by ESPN, ABC, and TNT. However, TNT will broadcast the round robin games on February 12th and 17th. And ABC and ESPN Plus will have the February 15th round robin doubleheader, and ESPN will air the United States Finland game and the final. Wow. All of the Chicago sports teams, along with Standard Media, launched the brand new Chicago Sports Network, replacing NBC Sports Chicago as the regional broadcaster. Okay. I didn't think about this before, but just like I like, just like I get very excited pro wrestling. I get excited about mixed martial arts too. So I'm gonna look up UFC's recent news. Hmm. UFC is gonna have a fight in Saudi Arabia. Um, about 2 days and 16 hours from now. So it's gonna be Adesanya against Emma Fove. It's gonna be fight night. So that's gonna be the main fight. It's gonna be this Sunday, no, Saturday at 10 a.m. It looks like. Then next Saturday is gonna be their latest pay-per-view, UFC 312, and that's gonna have Duplessis against Strickland. And this is gonna be their second fight against each other. Okay, that's the middleweight title. That's gonna be the main fight. You have the women's strawweight title. China, no, Zhang Wiley defending against Tatiana Suarez. In a heavyweight bout, Justin Tafa goes against Talison Taizara from Brazil. In a light heavyweight bout, Australian fighter Jimmy Crute goes against Brazil fighter Rodolfo Bellato. Welterweight bout, another fighter from Australia, Jake Matthews, goes against Francisco Prado from Argentina. Now in the prelims, you have Jack Jenkins from Australia going against Gabriel Santos from Brazil. You have another Australian in the lightweight bout called Tom Nolan going against Russian Vyacheslav Borshev. From China, Wang Kong goes against Bruna Brazil from, actually it's Brazil with an S, who is from Brazil, and this is a preliminary fight in the women's flyweight bout. Then in a bantamweight bout, they don't have any pictures, but it's Colby Thicknesse, and they don't even have where he's from. But he goes against somebody from Georgia named Alexandre Topuria. And in the early prelims for Fight Pass, um, the early, okay, so they have prelim fights in the pay-per-view as well as the Fight Pass, as well as the UFC Fight Pass. Guess it's called a section. It's gonna be Australian Jonathan Micale going against Kevin Jouzet from France. Australian Quillan Salkid against a guy from India, Anshul Dubli. And the last the last fight in the early prelims for fight night is the Hyun-Sung Park from South Korea against Nyam Jargal Chum Mindim Barrel from Mongolia. The prelims, which are not on the Fight Pass, the regular prelims are going to be on ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. So that's going to be good to watch for for people who watch that. Okay, so yeah, be fun to watch on ESPN2 next Saturday. I did forget to announce something very important. Don't remember saying this at the beginning of this video. Okay, so what I didn't say on here that I probably should have said but forgot I needed to say was that when I'm finished with this episode tomorrow, I'm gonna start a bonus video series. And I'm gonna start off by talking about my favorite gimmick match, the Battle Royal. Now, I'm finished with the first Battle Royal I want to talk about. I'm gonna talk about I'm gonna spread them out evenly. So talk about actually I'm gonna wait because I don't know what else I want to talk about, what other match I want to talk about. So because it's Royal Rumble season, actually this Saturday is the Royal Rumble. So I thought I would take the Battle Royal and talk about one of my favorite Battle Royal matches that they don't do anymore. But they did for about 3 years when I was a kid, and that was in WCW, World War III. So I want to talk about the Battle Royal itself from that event, and I'm gonna talk about the entire story of it in the bonus episode or bonus episode of this podcast, and it's for YouTube only. These bonus videos. Want to see how many people would be interested in that. So I'm going to talk about it, record it, upload it, and then add it as a bonus video and share it. See how many people like it. See if it's worth doing every week. Um, I really think we talk about what is the main topic of this was not just to test out any format. It was to talk about Raw from this past Monday because of Saturday. I liked how they based the beginning of the show around people are gonna enter the Royal Rumble, and they brought out the World Champion Champion from Raw to talk to Seth Rollins, and then Logan Paul came out, and that was good. How that was good because it's gonna be really interesting to see what number Logan Paul comes out to, because in his promo Monday he said he believed in working smart, not hard. And because of the unpredictability of the match, what number you draw, I feel like this is another thing I want to let everybody know. Instead of saving practice promo for for only YouTube, it's gonna be a regular part of my episode. So start off by saying this from this past Monday. I'd have to say this. Hold on. Mr. Logan Paul, sir. And I say that term loosely because the way you're carrying yourself. We want to talk about working smart, not not hard. Why why are you in this match in the first place? It's more unpredictable and it's not as smart as waiting until you waiting until you find out the the other ways of having a match at WrestleMania. Most people want to go to the top, but if but getting thrown over the top rope actually causes you more of a risk than entering the elimination chamber. Okay, that would be how I would want to practice. That would be how I would want to talk on TV if I was to choose. Them adding the women's U.S. title and now the women's intercontinental title. Well, I'd say this: when they added the WWE Divas title on SmackDown, when back in the late 2000s, I believe it was, that was long overdue, and now I think the U.S. and the women's U.S. and the women's intercontinental titles being added is long overdue. But I'm still glad to see it. So I remember just thinking to myself back when I was a teenager, two things. Number one, why doesn't SmackDown have a women's title? And number two, why don't on SmackDown women have a mid card title? So even though I'm glad to see it's being added, it just shows how much Vince McMahon being in charge hurt his own company in the past. I believe that they should do rankings so that you can make people really care about the women's mid card titles as well as the men's mid card titles. If you have a ranking system, they'll be striving they'll be striving to climb up the ladder for a championship instead of lollygagging around wondering when am I gonna get a title shot. They will know based off of the rankings when they may get a shot. That's just me talking not only as a fan but somebody who plans on becoming a manager one day. Actually, not just one day, the right time when I have the money to pay for it and I have a way to get to this training school. But I'm very excited. I'm very happy to bring this to y'all, and I don't know how often I can do this throughout the week. I'm gonna try my best to do as much as I can. Thank y'all and goodbye. But before I hit the stop button right here on the video, I want to let y'all know I'm gonna pre-record um a Facebook Live video for Facebook Live for the Saturday morning, and I'm gonna talk about the pay-per-view itself and why I like it and why I was always a fan of this pay-per-view since I was a kid. I hope y'all join me and I hope y'all enjoy it. Like I hope y'all enjoyed this. Thank y'all and goodbye.